yeah, it was just coming in after sailing one day to regatta in Sydney and taking a side, and you know, it's quite weird. There's these people with clipboards who come up to you as soon as you get off the water, and normally no one really comes up to you after sailing in Australia.
I don't know, I guess the first time I got tested, it was at a bit of a smaller regatta. We didn't really expect it to happen. It was just, we just got grabbed as soon as we hit the ramp off the day of racing.
I think pretty nervous actually. I mean, it was quite a new process. I didn't really understand so much about what was involved and what my rights were, and you know, what I could do, what I couldn't do.
I don't know, I was a little bit nervous because I never really took it so seriously before. I wasn't really aware of what we were taking and what sort of might be prohibited. Even just stuff like Nurofen and that sort of stuff, we weren't really aware of how that was on the list.
I think the fact that you've got someone watching you while you give the sample could be a bit daunting, and maybe like because there are some supplements and some vitamins that could possibly be contaminated, you don't actually know for sure, so maybe there is that little tiny percentage that you could produce a positive sample, that could be a little bit daunting.
Yeah, I got tested in South Melbourne 2 years ago. I sort of didn't really know what to expect, but it was a lot easier than I thought it would be. It was just, it took a little bit of time filling out the paperwork and stuff, and then actually doing the test was really easy. I was a bit nervous about doing it, but in the end it was no worries.
You know, I often get a bit of stage fright, and I just am very upfront about it. Go, okay, you're going to be with me for a while here.
I know they supervise you a lot. I've had my skipper being tested, and it was same situation. They just leave you and you have to go and de-rig the boat. But I know as soon as they ask you to be tested, you'd have to stay with your chaperone, and they have to keep an eye on you until you give the result and give the test.
Because you know, you finish sailing, you're dehydrated from being on the water for so long. You're only having to drink lots of fluids, and I think the longest we've had to wait has been 6 hours to give a sample.
The people administering the tests were really friendly. They were super helpful and super knowledgeable about all the processes, and it really made it a quite easy experience for our first time.
It's a very professional program that they run now with doping worldwide. I think it's something that's kind of, it's put a negative spin onto many of those top sports, and they've really professionalised that whole industry now to make sure it's even across all disciplines.
You're going up through the youth classes, I mean, you can be tested at any time. I know when we were at youth events internationally, there were people getting tested and they were only 15 or 16. And you're not really thinking about it at that stage. But
yeah, like we had quite a bit of training coming through the youth sailing, you know, on what to expect during tests. And your first one's always a little bit daunting, you know, just trying to make sure, you know, everything's done exactly as you've been told.
Just being educated is the best thing to have on your side, really. Like in the end, it's all the testing, everything's up to you, it's not up to anyone else, so you just got to make sure you know what you're doing and make sure that you're not going to get caught out for any silly mistakes. And
you know, it's a very different scenario to what you're used to. You finish racing normally and you come in and pack up your boat and go home, and all of a sudden you've got all these other requirements on you and you're not allowed to do this and that, and it's a bit stressful, but you know, we've never had any issues. It's just part of competition.
I think it was a really great experience. It was important that I asked a lot of questions and tried to find out as much as I could, and you know, I guess since then we've been tested many times, both domestically and internationally, and now we have a lot better understanding about you know, how important that process is.
all of the training and all of the education that we've had to kind of go through over the years finally kind of all made sense, and we knew exactly what we had to do and what the testers had to do, and yeah, it was overall a lot easier than what we expected.
For me, it's always funny when Nath gets picked out like every regatta and I'm just sort of cruising.
But that's good, because then you have to pack up the boat, and I get out of all the work because they test you usually at the end of the event, and you know, normally for us that's a big pack up, and you know, Goose packs up the boat and I go do my drug test and I come back and it's all done.